Welcome back. In today's video, I'm starting a new series called Undervalued or Overvalued, where I go over some of the tools that I recently purchased and talk about if they're worth it. Now, I'm like a little tool guy. I'm like the Tim the Toolman Taylor of like my job sites. I love tools and I love when I have the perfect tool for the job. I think nothing is like more like rewarding. And so I do go to hardware stores for like no purpose, but just to try to find things that might make me a little bit more effective or might make those unique jobs, a little bit easier. So I'm going over some of the tools I recently purchased. And I think the last one that I had it for a little while, to be honest with you, I think is actually going to surprise you. So let's get into it. Now, let's start by talking about the Stiletto Pry Bar. This thing is about $130 and that's outrageous. This thing is dramatically overvalued. I would not buy this. I went to the hardware store and this wasn't like, the price wasn't on it. And so when I did purchase it, when I got in the truck and I was like, God damn, this thing's expensive. And the reason why I didn't take it back because like my pride. And then I started like, trying to convince myself that it was a good purchase. Like it's going to last forever. It's really good. And, it's titanium and stiletto, whatever. So, is it decent? Yes. I was doing some demo work recently and, the tip is really, really thin. And so even like, I had it going into sheetrock and it was hitting like screws and it was like really chipping it up pretty bad. That's to be expected with how thin it was, but it's 11.5 inches. So it's kind of cumbersome for your bags. It's kind of too long. I think if I got the shorter one, might have been a better value, but overall, I wasn't really impressed with it. It does have a nice little nail puller, and I do like this profile. The fact it's a little bit thicker when it comes to concrete formwork, stripping. But other than that, this is $130, and you can get a 2-pack of Titan pry bars for about $12 to $15. This is a way better value. You can almost get 2-packs of these for this one. So overall, not a great value. Don't buy it. I don't recommend it. Stick with the Titan pry bars. Now, the next item is a Hultafors mechanical pencil. This might surprise you. This thing costs like $12 to $15 depending where you buy it. It's like $12 on Amazon, $15 at the hardware store. This is overall a great value. I think this is like underrated. A lot of people might think like, why would I spend $12 on a pencil when I can get a whole bunch of these little ones like this from the hardware store or from Home Depot. But the one thing I love about this is it's so silky smooth when you use it, and it's always fairly sharp. It's a lot better. And then sometimes when it comes to carpenter pencils, once they get under a certain length, they go into your bags and it seems like they go into a black hole. They just disappear, or you put them in a little, the little front pouches, the little section, and they get caught up, and so it's hard to get to. This thing is great value because not only does it have its own little housing, so the lead isn't getting chipped. When you're throwing your bags around, you don't see the lead getting all destroyed inside. Unlike these, all the time I'm constantly using my knife trying to get the blade, trying to get that lead sharp, and I just keep going down further and further, and it keeps breaking more and more and more. And so you might have a whole pencil that's pretty much useless because the inside lead is broken. So I think these are amazing. Now, if you get the extra leads, these are about like $12. This makes it even better because if you're going a one-off, only buying this by itself, it isn't the best value, but if you get the extra leads for $12, it makes this exponentially better. Now, if you want to go for alternative, Swanson has its own mechanical pencil brand, but it's not the same type. It's not like, the button. It's more like those old school, like when you were in middle school, you have like those little extra leads right here. This thing is cool. This is about like $12, so you get 2 pencils and 8 extra leads. This one is not as nice. The lead doesn't feel as good, and it doesn't stay as sharp as long. So, if you're talking about mechanical pencils, I would definitely go with the Hultafors first. And if you had a choice, guess maybe the Swanson's all right, kind of decent. And last is Carpenter's pencils. You can find these everywhere, hardware store, Home Depot. They're good for what they do. Again, they're cheap, like 10 cents. So I think the Hultafors pencils are undervalued. I think they're a great value. If you are enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Now let's get back to the video. The next item is a Tajima Chalk Box. These things are pretty expensive. These are about $42. These are the thin lines, not the thicker ones. The thicker ones are about like $27. These things are super nice, and they aren't meant to be out in the elements. They're not meant to be in for concrete jobs. And so it kind of depends on if the value's there. If you are inside or outside, finish work, awesome. Outside work, not so much, because again, because this line is so thin, if you get any kind of debris in there, it's so easy to break the line inside of here or get the gears gummed up. And also, when you use Tajima, you have to use their chalk. You cannot go and empty it out and then add in some DeWalt chalk or other brands because it gets the gears gummed up. So if you're willing to invest in this, make this your finished chalk box, it's worth it. And if you're gonna pay the extra money for the chalk, it's worth it. Like if you're doing like siding or stuff that's more like integral, it takes a lot more precision. This is where it's at because you don't want a thick line like something like a DeWalt chalk box. If you're doing concrete, if you're running and gunning, this is probably your better bet. This thing's about $20, and sometimes you can find $20 for a 2-pack. So thicker line, less precision, but overall takes a beating. And if it gets torn up or the gears get messed up, you just toss it and you're not worrying about it. So it all depends if this value is there, is if you're using it for its proper purpose, and that's finished work. If it is, it's definitely undervalued, and it's definitely going to provide you some years of use. The next item is Lineman pliers. I have a pair of Kleins, and these are actually like the rebar guys Klein pliers. These are about like $42. These things are amazing. These are definitely undervalued. The only thing that has really ever damaged a pair of Lineman pliers by Klein has been like people borrowing them and then like cutting like some hot wires or hot conduit. That's the only time I've ever had these be damaged. Now, if you were to buy the Husky brand or the DeWalt brand, these are going to be decent, especially if it has a spring. It's going to do like, the majority of the work. These are about $27, but these do not cut nails the same way. If you have a 16 duper trying to slice it, these are going to take a lot longer and you might damage that blade inside of here. So I think these are definitely undervalued. These are worth every penny. I would advocate any carpenter, if you're going to buy a pair of Lineman pliers, take the time, spend a little more money and buy the better brand. If you have to get these, get the spring with it. It makes it a lot better, especially when they're on the elements and they're getting rusted out. These are going to be better for you, but overall, I think these are definitely worth the value. And the next item is going to be something kind of wonky, and I just bought it because I'm thinking like, there's no way this is going to be worth it, but I'm going to still buy anyway. And that is this Milwaukee tape measure. This Milwaukee tape measure is like super weird. It has like a different kind of like profile. It has a light on there, which it sounds good in theory, and it has a magnet, so it has like a lot of like technology, but I think these are all kind of like gimmicks. The light really isn't that great because if you're working in the dark, it's better to have a headlamp or some kind of centralized light, because this thing is good, but if you're trying to measure with it and then you have to turn the light on and use that to mark things, like it's cumbersome, it's not worth it. And this thing is $35, and it's much better to buy a Stanley Fat Max 25 footer, without the magnet. These are going to provide value. These are about $23, so you're talking about $10 for that light. That's you get the charge, and that's not really that effective. It's much better just to buy a headlamp and have this, opposed to trying to put all the gimmicks into one piece. It's cute, weird, but overall it's not worth it. It's overvalued. And the last item, which I did not think was going to be worth it, but I bought it because I was working on a lift, and it was about 35 feet in the air, and I was installing girts, and it was in a corner where I needed a 90-degree angle. And I had one of those like bendable ones, like hydraulic ones, and I was using it inside, bound up, and it came back and smacked me in the mouth, and it busted my whole lip open. And so I was so mad at that point. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna find whatever I can that's gonna make this easier, and it's not gonna be so cumbersome, and the chance of it happening is never gonna happen again. And I got this Makita like 90 drill is awesome. I think this thing's 100 and like when I bought it was $160. And I think this thing is totally worth it, especially when you need the extra power. These little DeWalt 90s, they don't provide the same level of power. And a lot of times if you're using this, you're using like on finish work. I was using this like installing guards for windows. I was using to install Z-girts. These things hit way harder, and it's just, it has a lot more power, right? It doesn't have to go through an extra step of using this to try to provide that power, which it really doesn't. And I think this is totally worth it. A lot of people might say, why would you buy this? Because again, when I got smacked in the mouth and I had my braces in, and I was trying to get chunks of my lip out of my braces, I thought, I wish I had something like this because this overall is way better. It's great value. And that concludes the first episode of Overvalued or Undervalued. Still working title. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you guys have any tool recommendations or brands you guys want me to check out, let me know. Who knows, I might already have these tools in the back of my truck. I appreciate you guys. Please like and subscribe. The bigger this channel gets, the more I can go and branch out and buy other stuff to bring it back to you guys, and also have more giveaways and just have more time to engage with you guys. So I appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions, please join the Discord channel. I'm always in there lurking, or I have other guys who comment all the time. We're here to help you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.